Right then, Billy. You had a pretty unenviable task to step into a group that was already a success, take over from a drummer who was perhaps not the greatest drummer in the world, but certainly was successful. He had a lot of fans. Did you have any kind of antagonism from the fans?
Well, yes, there is, but I don't really notice it very much. It is there, especially in Liverpool, particularly. Not so much actually for me in Liverpool, more for Frank, because he does more of the talking. So at least I'm in the background and I can just sit and play. So therefore, I don't have any direct antagonism like that. I mean, I do get people come up and say you're not an original and that kind of carry on, but Frank still gets it, you know. So, and more so in Liverpool, you know, he gets terrible abuse in Liverpool.
Was that crack tonight, even from the background? What's happened to Tony?
Well, yes, I think those guys were just having a laugh, really, you know, possibly here. At least that's how we look at it. We find that quite funny within the group ourselves, but in Liverpool that can be quite a problem.
At least you do have an answer.
Huh?
At least there is an answer to that one. What happened to Tony?
Yes, but in Liverpool there seems to be an element of you don't come from Liverpool and you don't deserve to be in the group and all this kind of business, you know. And they don't quite realise that he's been there for like 11 years or something, you know, and Jackson was only there for about a year. That's and right. 9 months or something, you know.
You joined about 66, did you?
Well, the week before Christmas, actually, 6 years ago, so when that was, I don't know.
Oh, it's as late as that? That's, what, 69?
Is it? Yeah, yes, I suppose it must be. I don't know, really.
I thought it was even earlier.
6 years, no. 6 years.
And you came from a group in Scotland, did you? Or?
Oh, no, I lived in London. I've lived in London now for about 10 years. I did work in Sweden for a period, for about 5 months or something. And when I came back from there, I just stayed in London after that. Oh, I've worked with all sorts of people.
Were you with a name group before you joined the Searchers?
Actually, prior to the Searchers, I was playing with a big band. And prior to that, I was working with Jet Harris of Shadows fame, yes, for a couple of months and couldn't stand it anymore. It's driving me mad. Yeah, it was so bad, it was terrible. And before that, I was with a girl called P.P. Arnold.
Yeah.
You know, First Cut as the Deepest and all that. I was with her for about a year and a half. And before that, another soul band. And Zip Money, the big roll band, and all sorts of people. Worked for Tommy Rowe and loads and loads of people, you know. Been around a long time.
Well, when Chris left, did you go to the Searchers, or did the Searchers come to you?
Now, there was a friend of mine working for the Searchers as a road manager, because our own road manager, Chris, was in hospital. And they were looking for a drummer, and he told them about me, and they checked with their agent, who I'd always worked through that office almost anyway, all the period I'd been in London with all the different acts basically, and they verified my sort of qualifications roughly with them, and then phoned me up, and then we had an small audition in Frank's living room, and that was it, you know. I've been in the group ever since.
And obviously enjoyed it.
Yeah, yes, I enjoy it, you know. It's very busy sometimes, in fact far too busy at times.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, very, very busy, incredible.
It's for an old group.
Oh, it's ridiculous. We honestly have to cancel work. I mean, we keep saying this, it sounds like a terrible show-busy boast, you know, you have to cancel work to take time off, but it's almost always true with us, you know.
I can't believe it. I've seen the show 2 nights in a row, and I thoroughly enjoyed it both nights, and I am one person who certainly go out and tell my friends.
Yeah.
The Searchers are well worth seeing, so I suppose this is it. People are going around telling their friends.
Well, I suppose so. I really don't know, you know. We keep going round and we keep doing different things, and like John's just been saying about the Germany thing. We went to Germany 3 times last year, and I've been to Sweden. I mean, I lived in Sweden. I worked with Emil Ford then, I had for 5 months.
You were one of the checkmates, were you?
Well, yeah, as such in those days, you know. It was a get-together band. And we travelled all over Sweden, and I've been back to Sweden now about 6 or 7 times. In fact, I've been sick going back. It really is, it's ridiculous. We keep going there as well. Germany, we just come back from Australia. And apparently we're going to Poland now in May for 10 days. So what that'll be like, I've no idea. So I just need to wait and see.
would certainly be different, because the Swedish and the Germans, they love British bands.
Well, Swedish people aren't very good at showing emotions of any great sort. They're very sort of placid people generally, you know. Very nice, very friendly, sociable and all that. But when it comes to audiences, they're not so outward going. Where the Germans are completely opposite,
Yes.
you know. The audiences in Germany are just fantastic. All the clubs are, of course, as well. All the club owners, even if they're what you might call nasty people. People you sort of generally wouldn't like at all, you know, really nice. All free booze, as much as you could get stoned out your brain every night at the bar, you know, they just don't care. They don't care even if you go on drunk. Not in the slightest bit bothered.
3 years.
Oh, have you?
Beautiful.
Yes.
Part of the RAF, you see.
Well, we always see people from a different angle, of course, because people tend to, on occasions, you know, club owners and people in clubs, you meet them on a social level, you know, and they tend to be a bit different. It's just incredible. I mean, we get to a state, you know, I mean, we don't drink very much. I mean, very, very seldom ever get anywhere near drunk or anything, you know. In fact, sometimes in Germany, they just won't give you your money at the end of the evening until you sat down and had a drink with them. Now, I don't mean one drink, you know. There's one club we play in Kiel where every time they want an encore, they send up another bottle of champagne, another tray of drinks, and all these strange drinks they send up all the time. To try and keep you on stage. With some guy one night standing throwing money on the stage, giving us money with his wallet open. Yeah, play goodbye my love, money. Play goodbye my love, money. Just keep throwing it on the stage. It's just ridiculous. This was all in the same club. It's just so good, the audiences, you know. And they're all standing up on the seats and shouting and bawling. And, you know, I've seen us do well, you know, like they do 2.5 hours in Germany as opposed to an hour here. I've seen us do well over half an hour extra over there, quite easily. You know, come off, not realised how long we've been on. Don't notice it. Don't notice it when you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, true. Getting back to yourself, obviously you're a better drummer than Chris was. Fair enough to say, I think.
Well,
most people would.
I'd rather leave it to other
agree
people's
with you.
judgments.
Is this a native talent which you
What, drums?
drumming, which you've seen right the way through to its present standard, or have you pinched ideas from other well-known?
Oh,
drummers?
you always pinch ideas from everyone. But also the other thing, when I was a lot younger, I did go for lessons for about 7 years. You know, my father was quite keen that I should play an instrument. I went to piano when I was about 11 and couldn't stand that. Much to my regret, I may add. Yeah, but then he was a bit of a drummer, and sort of tried to persuade me to take drums because there was a good drum teacher in Glasgow, as it happened, one of the best. So he convinced me to go for drums, which I thought was a very good idea even then, you know, when I was about 11 or 12. And he went out and bought me a kit of drums, and off I went for lessons every Sunday, regular as clockwork. And thoroughly enjoyed it, you know. Went for all that, and all the time after, no sooner I had a kit of drums than I played in a group almost straight away. I was in the boys' brigade in those days, and we started a group, and we started starting going out and working, doing all these charities and things. And then somebody paid us money one night, which completely floored us. We were all in a huddle in the corner discussing whether we should accept 30 bob between us or something, you know, and decided we should give the money back. And that's how naive we were, you know. And I've just worked ever since, you know. I've always wanted to be a drummer, and so I suppose seeing it through to this sort of situation, yes, I've always wanted to be a drummer. Nothing else matters to me, really.
Who's
No,
the big chief for you as regards drummers?
Oh no, well I'd have said a few years ago I was quite well into jazz and things like that. From about 18 onwards, you know. And now there's so many good musicians now. You know, I can't even listen to jazz. It sounds so immature now, yeah. Because the groups now, they've taken all that. They've taken all the rock and roll, they've taken all the jazz, the blues, the soul, everything, and they've just put the whole lot together now. So what you're getting is a conglomerate of the whole thing now, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. In most groups, you know, like Blood, Sweat and Tears, Chicago, you know, loads of bands.
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin. Rock and roll, but lots of jazz things and everything. You know, the standard of playing is phenomenal now, absolutely phenomenal.
So there's no particular drummer that you...
Oh no, too many I think now. I like the guy with not as a great drummer, but I like the guy with Bad Company. He used to be with Free,
Yeah.
because he's very simple and basic. I also like an American guy called Russ Kunkel, who's on the James Taylor, Carole King, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young LPs, you know, live. He's just great feel, you know, and dozens of other guys. I also like Buddy Rich. I've seen him about 5 times. In fact, when he first came, I went to Birmingham to see him. I just love him. He's the most incredible drummer ever, you know. The things he does are just so unbelievable.
He doesn't really need to be so flamboyant.
Yeah, he's a star, you know, that's what he believes and is, you know. He's such an incredible guy. You know, before, you see, like now I say, there's so many young guys who can play, not like him, but who can really play music as it is today. But I mean, in his day, you see, when he, even going back 5 or 6 years ago when there wasn't so many good guys, his playing was just above everyone's. Yeah, he's slightly old-fashioned in some ways, but the ability is incredible. He plays things that no one will ever play. He's just like, he's the boy genius, you know, of all time, as far as technique and ability is concerned. He's got it all.
Speaking of ability, during your little drums solo, which is very short.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
relatively short anyway.
Yeah, no.
I got the impression that you might be quite at home in a heavyish band.
Yes, I suppose I would be. So, like, I've varied music quite a lot, you know, like we've been through the history thing. And, I'd like to play lots of other things. In fact, I think basically, well, certainly John and I particularly would certainly like to play more things. Certainly. You know, like John said, we have done it, you know. And we do it occasionally. In fact, we're thinking about redoing some things which we thoroughly enjoyed before. It's just like the cabaret circuit is, it's a bit difficult when you get very mixed audiences. Very mixed audiences. We swap and change things around quite a lot. We're quite adaptable, really. Because although you've seen a quite straightforward cabaret act here, sort of mellowed, well, and other times we turn out other things. You know, we go into a club, for instance, we played Southampton, 2,500 kids in the top rank, and just gone down an absolute storm. And those kids don't know us from Adam, basically, you know. That's a name from, you know, I talk to kids now. I was talking to kids the other day, don't even know who the Beatles are. It's just that ridiculous, you know.
Well, my daughter doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it, you know.
I don't play Beatle records at home, so
yeah.
My daughter doesn't know, and she's, 11 years of age now.
Yes, it's amazing. It's suddenly then you realise the age gap's so fantastic, you know. You forget.
And yet you're still popular.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. And the popularity is certainly built since I've been in the band. It's, as far as the work situation's concerned and everything else, it's built and built and built. It's not always been on top-notch sort of thing, you know, but it's been very good. And like I say, we still have to cancel weeks so we can have holidays. It really is. We have to phone the office up and say, cancel that, take that out, leave that out, pencil this in, and it is a case of juggling everything around, you know. Well, that's in this day and age, it's a great thing. Because I know lots of guys in London, you know, friends of mine, and they just can't get work, you know, it's that bad. Things are really pretty bad in the music business as well.
Yes, this is true.
And people think, you know, that people like us aren't affected by it, but we are. It affects everyone.
If everything went pear-shaped and the surface had to fold up, is there any one group that you would like to join? Not because they're successful, but because they play your kind of music?
It's fine. I've never really thought about it. I like variety. I honestly like variety. There's lots of bands, you know. When I'm in the house, I love James Taylor. I love Led Zeppelin. I love Blood, Sweat and Tears, Chicago. I also like Sinatra. I like, you know, my tastes are like everything, you know. Neil Sedaka, I think he's great as well. There's so many good people around now, you know. Elton John, hundreds of people really, you know.
So really, everyone has an opportunity to play the drums.
Yeah, oh yes, that's the be all and end all for me. I mean, in fact, I'm qualified for nothing because I've never cared to think about anything else. You know, I worked in a bookshop for years, and everybody used to think I was crazy. Kept talking to me about why don't you get a career, why don't you do this, and I never thought about it. Just never entered my head to think about anything else, you know, and that's how it's always been with me.
Do you have any other interests outside the group?
interest? Well, I read a lot. I read continuously, all the time. Making up for time I lost at school, I suppose, in my youth. Oh yes, continuously.
Do you read anything, or do you have
I like biographies, autobiographies. I got quite a large collection of jazz books as well, and antiques. I've got books on antiques and all sorts of things, lots of things. Various subjects there again, you see. Yeah.
Well, time's getting on. Final thing, what's with this big Scottish scene?
Well, all the old guys coming across the borders now.
Well, we've got the Rollers.
Well, to me, it's nothing. It's nothing new to me, of course. It's like Alec Harvey's a big thing now.
Yeah.
And I've known Alec since we've been kids. In fact, I played with Alec's brother that was killed. Yeah, Alec's brother was killed in electric shock. Touched a microphone, the guitar.
That's right, yes.
Well, yeah, we played together for years and knew each other since we were kids again, 12s. Because his brother played, and I knew Alex since then. There's lots of those guys go back that long with me, We've known each other. The Marmalade and all those people, they're all my friends now, And we've all known each other since we've been kids, most of those people. There's always been loads and loads of great bands in Scotland.
Is all this publicity coming about just because of the Rollers?
Well, I suppose
Must be.
they're doing the thing with the tartan, which is, it's cotton down.
Oh yes, it's fine.
No knocking it. I think it's a great thing. It's spirit and youth and all that. I think it's a great. I enjoy it. I like to see other people enjoying, sort of like as I had rock and roll and then the Beatles and all that. I like to see other kids getting involved in that sort of thing. I think it's a nice thing. 'Cause it's healthy, They look good-looking kids and all that, aren't they? They've got a good image. Yes, exactly. They're not doing any harm.
No, not at all.
So it's a great thing. But as for other bands, the Average White Band and loads of others, great. Hard to believe they're white. It's ridiculous,
Fantastic sound.
Hamish and all those guys, it's fantastic. Loads of great bands. But there always has been, like I say, Like I say, Alec Harvey's been around. God, I'd hate to. Alec Harvey was a star in Glasgow. When I started, he was a star in Glasgow.
He seems to have been around for about 20 years.
Oh, he has been.
Yeah.
Goodness, God, I've been around nearly 20 years. Nah,
I
he's
wouldn't have
been.
suggested that.
He's certainly been around that time. He was doing things which no one thought about doing in Glasgow musically. He was doing Ray Charles when he had the only import record. Somebody brought them back from the States, and he was the only one in the country as far as we knew with them. And he was doing all those things, and God, he was into everything. Great band, drummer with double bass drums and all this kind of carry on. Great band in those days, And the big soul band it was in those days. And then went to Germany, and then came to London, worked in here, never made it. And now he's got this other band together, and he's been on the road for about 3 years. And now he's a star. At long last. He's about 40 something, Yeah. Pretend to be a teenager running around the group or something, He's at least 40 something, Alec. Got to be.
It's like who was it? Patti LaBelle was some months ago. They'd had this big success, you see, with this Lady Marmalade.
Yeah.
And people were hailing them as overnight successes.
Yeah.
So she just dropped the bombshell that they'd been making records for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not an overnight success then.
Yeah, well, Patti LaBelle goes back a long ways. Oh, God, I remember we used to buy her records. In fact, we met her, one of the girls out of that band, when we were in New York. We arrived and went for this, the very day we arrived, we went for a publicity party. And there was this girl, we were talking to one of the coloured chicks, and she was with some photographer or something. And we got talking, she said, yes, I'm with this group, Patti LaBelle, whatever. I don't think they were just called Patti LaBelle then, they were called something else. And I said, oh yeah, what's she doing? The old soul singer sort of going by the way, as we thought. 2.5 years later, here she is, big star again, It just goes in cycles.
London girl, Vicky Wickham.
Yeah, actually, in actual fact, Vicky Wickham was at the party, so maybe the colour girl was with her as well, I suppose.
Possibly Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah Dash or Nona Hendricks.
They're
the two girls who are with Patty.
Oh, I honestly can't remember. Honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
It was
a
just...
London girl who brings a black coloured group.
Yeah, exactly.
Black American group,
Well, it's like Gladys Knight and the Pips now, being around for goodness knows how long. Being raved about for years and years and years and years, and only now, over the last few years happening, become stars, so they speak,
So it's
deservedly
fingers
so.
crossed that the same kind of thing's going to happen to the searchers very, very soon. They're suddenly
Well-
rediscovered.
Oh, we could do it quite easily, I'm sure we could.
I'm sure you could, yes.
Quite easily. It's like everything, like John was saying about time in the studio. You need it, the business has changed. It's not trying to get your stage sound onto record anymore. The record business is a completely different business. It's another commodity altogether. You know, people still say, they don't sound like that on TV, they sound better on TV than the record and vice versa, But it's not that at all anymore. It's a whole new business.
Well, Bill, I'm sure the boys are waiting for you. Thank you very
Yep.
much indeed.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And just add the...
Okay, thank you very much, and I hope all the patients and the staff have a good new year, and all the patients get better very soon. I remember I had my appendix out, so I know what it's like in hospital as well. 10 days. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Billy.